All right, guys, welcome to Feeper's Electric Tower. My name is JJ, and with me is the one and only, the one who hosted this tournament. It's going to be Feeper. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? Happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. But
Of course.
let's skip the introductions and get over into the team. In this side, we're currently viewing from Silver's perspective, going against Sir Explain a Lot, and we have here Wheezing, Incineroar, Dragonite. We also have the Feeny here, Regigigas. And what do you think about it? And what do you think about Explain a Lot's team as well?
So one thing that Xplainalot has going for him in this matchup is he does have two really strong Trick Room options with the Stack
Mm-hmm.
Attacker that can set it up for itself, and then of course a good Dynamax
Right.
option in that format, as well as Glacier, and he has Follow Me from the Clefairy, so he can get that up pretty reliably. Of course, Silver does have the classic Regigigas Wheezing combo, which could really prove
Mm-hmm.
a problem. It matches up really well in the Spectrier because you can't Max Ghost the Regigigas. Of course, Gigas can't strike it back, but with a Spadef boost coming out from Max Quake, it could be a big problem for the Spectrier.
Right, but with that being said, here we have it, the first round of the tournament and the first game. Let's have a champion time. In this section, Explainer is going to bring out the Spectrier and the Urshifu, and let's see what Silver is going to bring out for us. It's going to be, as he said, the Regigigas and the Weezing. What's really interesting about this is that it has been, since the start of the first season, of series one rather, that a lot of people have already been theorizing with Weezing going with the Regigigas, and right now with Series 7 we are seeing it.
It's honestly pretty cool to see. I mean, Regigigas is a Pokemon that a lot of people really like, but it's never really been able to sort of see the daylight because of its ability. But of course, Wheezing with that neutralizing gas is able to turn that ability off. But one thing that's very important is it also turns off the Unseen Fist from Urshifu, meaning it can actually protect in
Mm-hmm.
front of it, meaning it's honestly really safe in this position.
Right. With that neutralizing gas, it's not a good way to use it. For at least for the previous series, but now that there's someone who can actually utilize that, then we are going to see it go with the side of the light of the day. But right now, look at this. Explain a lot going to immediately have the first initial, well, it's the first and initial, wow, initial move of the Dynamax going for the Spectrier, and of course is going to answer back. Silver's going to be answering back with a Dynamax of his own. I think this is going to be, yes, it is going to be the Regigigas without the slow start as well, thanks to the neutralizing gas. And let's see which attack is going to go first and which attack is potentially going to KO which Pokemon. And let's see, it is Weezing, of course, going to immediately go for the Protect. And as you mentioned, Unseen Fist, rather, won't do anything at all. But look at this. First Dynamax move going to go with the Weezing, of course, could be able to protect itself and gets a bit of damage. And look at this right now. Defense goes down, of course, and of course with the life orb going to be able to get in some recall. But look at that. Max Strike going to be able to one KO that Urshifu. This is looking good for Silver right now.
Another big thing is that speed drop. Spectrier is a fast Pokemon, but it typically likes to be, running that modest nature and not boosting its speed another stage. So Regigigas should be able to outspeed it in his next turn, and we did see that has Max Darkness. So Spectrier is kind of in an awkward spot here, to be honest.
Right. I mean, as you mentioned, Spectre usually wants to go fast, especially with that Regieleki from the back as well. You can definitely see that Explain a lot rather. I keep on saying Sir Explain a lot, but like Explain a lot's team, you know, is basically one of the typical teams that are fast. But with that debuff coming in from the Max Strike is gonna be hurting a lot.
Ooh, double protect actually gets it. That's kind of big.
Double tag. It's something that you don't see every day. But look at that. The screens is now out. Let's see. Max Quake. Definitely not going to do a lot of damage now thanks to the thanks to the reflect. But Regieleki barely surviving,
I think,
leaving
yeah,
with just
that's a
one
focus sash.
HP, bro.
That's even through a reflect. I mean, Regigigas, like, you just honestly can't. You put a life orb on it, you really can't underestimate its damage output. Even with a reflect up,
Right.
it's just honestly insane. And that Spadef boost is really going to come in, huge. And Weezing with that second protect is able to soak up that Max Quake from the opposing side quite nicely.
It's just really interesting. Like this Weezing right here is basically the MVP of the game that I'm seeing right now so far. So far for me, Weezing is the MVP of the game, letting Regigigas just do its own thing against Xplainalot.
One thing that you're going to see often is if you are playing against a Weezing Gigas combo, you kind of have to target down the Weezing because once you disable that neutralizing gas, Gigas isn't as big a deal. But the problem is,
Right.
if you get those double protects, or if you have a focus sash, or it just the luck doesn't go your way. I mean, it can really snowball really quickly because you're staring down a Dynamax Regigigas.
Right, but look at this. Max Quake is going to be able to take down that Weezing. As you've mentioned, slow start is going to be activated now thanks to that knockout. No more neutralizing gas. Spectre gets its own ability. Everyone gets its own ability right now. And look at that. Slow start going to be a huge damage. Sorry, not a huge damage, but a huge deal for the side of Silver. Now, even with the -1, even with the -1 on the Spectre, it's not going to be enough to outspeed that Spectre.
Ooh.
But look at that right now. Not going to do a lot of damage, although it's half health. But I mean, we have the debuff as well. Lower speed def as well. I mean, at this point, Regigigas, I don't think, even with that kind of debuff, it's not going to do a lot right now?
Yeah, once slow start is activated, it cuts its attack in half. It's honestly pretty sad to be a Regigigas player when your slow start is active. Incineroar is going to hit
Right.
the field, though. That Intimidate, not going to do too much against those two special attackers, but he does have Fake Out Pressure, which could pick up a KO onto this Regieleki, potentially. Kind of swing things back in Silver's favor. It does feel like he's lost a little bit of momentum with that
Right.
last turn.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. But look at this right now. As you mentioned, Incineroar here could have had the fake out here just to go for the Regieleki, but like at the same time, it seems like it's way too obvious that you
Hmm.
know s- explain a lot here could just like change to his like last Pokemon to just save Regieleki, but like at the same time, why would you save Regieleki at this point?
It is still the fastest thing on the field. I mean, it could offer really good speed control with the Electro
Mm-hmm.
Web. It's also, I mean, at 1 HP, it doesn't have a great matchup in the Tapu Fini, but if you get some chip onto it, it could prove vital
Mm-hmm.
against that. But we will see the Fake Out come out as Spectre protects itself, and that will be the end of Regieleki for this round.
Right, and look at that. He may have outsmarted Silver, but Silver outsmarted his outsmarting. And look at that. He decided to just keep this Spectre and not switch out that Regieleki. As I've mentioned earlier on, Regieleki is still the fastest Pokemon at the field before, and having it at the back then, maybe he could get in. He's definitely going to win the speed control, and maybe gets a win off of that. But like, it's not gonna happen anymore since it's now taken out. But look at this right now, huh? Stakataka
Yeah.
and Spectre going against Regigigas and Incineroar.
Yeah, I mean, going from the fastest Pokemon in the format to, I think, the slowest Pokemon in the format from Xplainalot
Right?
side of the field. But it does have a really good matchup into Incineroar. It can body press, so it can kind of just ignore Intimidates and parting shots. Of course, it can also Rock Slide. That's a pretty common move from Stack Attack, going for those flinches. Or, I mean, if it gets a Trick Room up, and then it can move first every turn, that's going to be a pretty big problem for Silver.
Right, but look at this right now. Darkest Lariat going to be able to take down the Spectre, of course. Oh man, this is looking pretty bad for X. Wow, I always want to say Sir Explain a lot. It's
I
just
mean,
explain a
I
lot.
would.
What am
I
I?
think he'd appreciate it, Sir. I think Sir would explain a lot.
Well, anyway, he's down his last Pokemon. Silver here still has his 3 Pokemon up, and I
Mhm.
think this is pretty much game for Explain a lot here.
Yeah, it does look like this first game of this best of three will go to Silver, unless, I mean, he gets like a million, like he gets Trick Room up and
So,
just
so
gets a Rock Slide flinches like over and over again. I mean, that's kind of his only way to win at
right.
this point.
And there we have it. Gyro Ball not to do a lot of damage, of course, against the Regigigas. But even if he's going to be able to like to take down the Regigigas, he still has like the third Pokemon, his last Pokemon up the back. But look at that. it is going to be Silver's first win. Of course, that was pretty obvious. That was like a 3-1 situation, and I don't think anyone could like get a comeback of that unless the RNG gods gets to their side.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see Explainalot not go for a Trick Room on the Stack Attacker and just Gyro Ball the Regigigas. You know, that move does do more power the slower the Pokemon is against its target, but with a slow start Regigigas, it's going to lose a lot of its base power. So that's a little bit of an interesting. Of course, it might not have Trick Room, so maybe that's the sort of the philosophy there. But I think the biggest problem
Right.
coming out from Explainalot's side was losing Urshifu turn one. I mean, it literally did
Right.
nothing. It couldn't detect. It didn't sucker punch. You know, we don't know if it's banded or what the item is on it. I mean, it's obviously not Focus Sash, but losing the Urshifu turn one against the Regigigas, and then also giving the speed control over to Silver's side of the field on that first turn really put Explainalot on the back foot for honestly the entire game.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, at the same time, having that neutralizing gas is really a huge deal for Explain a lot here. Removing that unseen fist, of course, that's like one of the main reasons why you would want an Urshifu on your team.
Hmm.
Just bypassing protect or like detect or whatever, and having that removed from you basically removes 50% of the game of Urshifu.
It really does. One thing that Urshifu does extremely well is if you can keep him in the back and sort of, he can honestly just be basically a complete win con in the late game. If you can knock out a
Right.
Pokemon or two and then just have Urshifu in the back and then just be like, well, you can't protect in front of me anymore, so I'm just going to click Blow or Surging Strikes and just crit you all day or close combat. And like, you can't do anything about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So taking
Yeah,
that off the field turn one, I really can't stress how just
that was a very
monumental that
impactful.
really was. Yeah.
And at this point, Explain a lot is definitely going to take a lot of time. And
Hmm.
you can't blame him for that, especially with what happened with the first round. But right now, it is going to be the second game. Explain a lot versus Silver. Let's have a champion time. And let's see if Explain a lot here is going to change his starting Pokemon and if Silver is going to change his as well. But look at this right now. Spectre and Regieleki is going to be the first one for Explain a lot side here, and Dragonite and Incineroar is going to be the one for Silver.
I really like this adaptation from Explainalot. I think Regieleki needed to be, especially since it has Focus Sash, it needed to be in, as a lead because last game he could have Electro Webbed to then sort of, continue to keep the speed up on his side of the field. But I think Silver also made a pretty interesting adaptation, saying, okay, I think you're going to lead to beat Gigas and Wheezing, so I'm going to lead something against that and kind of throw you off your game,
Right.
put you off of your game plan.
But this is something really interesting as well. And I mentioned this earlier too. Like so, Explain a lot here thinks that he outsmarted Silver, but Silver just outsmarts him by way beyond, my friend. But look at this right now, Regieleki and Spectre, right? As you mentioned, he might have wanted to like play over his game, but like Silver here goes for the Max Quake, going to the Regieleki and the Fake Out as well, removing the Focus Sash essentially, and that could potentially be a one KO for the side of Explain a lot. But look at this right now, Spectre is going to be like the first Dynamax once again, just like the first game for the side of Explain a lot, and of course it's going to be answered back by the Dragonite of Silver. Do you think this is going to be a first turn KO for Regieleki?
It could be. It really depends on if Regieleki has Protect or not. But if Silver isn't careful, I mean, he could lose his Incineroar this turn potentially, coming out from a Max Quake from Spectre. We are going to see the Fake Out connect though. That's gonna. Was that a crit? Ooh, that's a juicy
Oh, a
crit.
crit as well. And definitely, we won't be seeing that Regieleki survive anytime soon. But as you mentioned, we are going to potentially see the
Ooh.
knockout on the Incineroar, but not quite enough. Still hangs on by a thread with that red hell. But of course, the Spadef raising up by that Max Quake. But look at this right now. Max Quake is going to go up after this berry from the Incineroar just to recover a little bit of health with the Citrus Berry. But of course, Max Quake is going to be able to take down that Regieleki in turn number one. And immediately, it seems as if it is just a repeat of the history of round one.
I was literally just about to say that. You know, Silver picks up another KO in the first round off of his first turn of Dynamax, which is really huge. I mean, we see both players Dynamax turn one. We see them both go for Max Quakes turn one.
Hmm.
Clefairy is going to come out though. This actually could be a pretty big problem for Silver. Redirection is not something he wants to deal with a Spectre.
Right. And you have to also consider the fact that it has Friend Guard, or at least, potentially has Friend Guard, and Spectre already has the +1 on Spidef.
Mm-hmm. We are going to see the Clefairy of Silvers come out into the field. So we have many big blobs out on the field right now, dancing around.
Right. And there we have it. Max Phantasm going into the Dragonite. Is it going to do a lot of damage? Not quite enough. Not even health. Maybe just around like 25% of the health. But of course, the defense is now going down. Going to do a lot of damage. Going to be a lot of deal for the side of Silver here. But look at this. Max Airstream trying to get the speed control. But of course, you have to consider the fact that even if he has a speed control, Spectre already has +1 in speed def. And then he also has the friend guard. Even if he gets all the buffs that he could, it's still not gonna be enough to deal a lot of damage unless you have like, +4 or like +5 or 6. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I do. I think that Protect coming out. I like that play from
Ooh.
Xplainalot saying, I'm not gonna let you take out because that Airstream is a 2-hit KO, but now Dragonite does move first. We'll get another Spidef boost, and we did see Silver lock into that Life Dew, which isn't a move we see too often on Clefairy. But no matter what
Mhm.
happens, any damage that Spectre does this turn is going to get healed right back up.
Right. And look at this. Max Phantasm, I think, is not going to be able
Ooh,
to
is that
take
another
down the
crit?
Dragonite. And again, the Life Dew just going to be able to recover that. And what's really interesting about this is that Silver just maintains Dragonite to be the fastest Pokemon, maintains Dragonite to be the bulkiest Pokemon, and maintains it just to be the core of the team of this game.
Dragonite is a Pokemon that we really haven't seen too much of in Series 7. We've seen some like comfy multi-scale weakness policy things, but that's very weak to redirection and stuff, so it's kind of not really found its footing. But Silver's
Hmm.
showing that it's got more than people think.
Right. I mean, especially now that he's using Dragonite and showing us literally how Dragonite could be good in Series 7. Because, like, n- as you mentioned, it's always a Incineroar, always a Tapu Fini, Glacier, Rillaboom, but like seeing the Dragonite being on play is something you don't see every day. But look at this right now, redirection, well, definitely gonna do a lot, but look at that. Dual Wing Beak going to do a lot of damage with this Spectre here. But look at that. Shadow Ball, I think, is going to be able to knock out the Dragon. No, never mind. It is going to be for the Clefairy thanks to the redirection. But one more Dual Wing Bit. Wing Bit is going to be able to take down either the Clefairy and the Spectre.
Both Pokemon are kind of just easy prey for Dragonite right now, and that Spidef boost is coming in really, really big for that Clefairy, being able to live a Helping Hand Shadow Ball from Spectre, which is a pretty offensive Pokemon even without a boost.
Right. But look at that. Dual Wing Bit is going to be protected by Spectre, and Life is coming out. Not really a lot here. Um. Well, just so that Silver is going to like make Clefairy survive, prolonging that effect of the Friend Guard. Going in for the Moonblast, I think this is going to be able to take down. No, not quite enough. Quite shockingly.
It is a super effective move, but again, those special defense boots are really coming in handy for Silver right now, and it's got to be honestly pretty frustrating to play against this Life Duke Clefairy. It's not something we see very often, but it is something that you do kind of have to respect. I think Silver's just kind of stalling
Oh
out really
right,
really
the
hard
Max
right now.
Quake.
Yeah. So we will see
Right,
the
the
Fall
Max
New come
Quake.
out.
I forgot. I honestly forgot because, like, especially with the first turn that we got, like, the repeat of the history. But look at this right now. Dual Wing Beat is still not going to be able to take down the Fury, but just almost, almost going to be able to take it down. And just one more hit, I think he's, well, definitely going to be able to, like, remove that friend guard and just eat. everyone alive from the side of Silver. Look at it right now. Live 2 prolonging that the fairy to prolong the effects of that. Oh wow. Prolonging the effects of
Oh,
that friend guard, but like going for the earthquake this turn, he does not want a single target to go down. He wants both of them to go down. The fairy, I think, is going to go in for. I think it would have been best to go for the protect, but follow me ain't gonna do nothing with earthquake.
it ain't gonna do nothing with earthquake. That is for sure. There should be a double KO. Yup. The crit on the Clefairy definitely didn't matter, but that's honestly a really good play. I was kind of wondering what Silver was going for with targeting Clefairy and then targeting Spectrier and then targeting Clefairy again, but he was just
Right,
trying to get them low enough where he could just say, hey, I don't care about your redirection. I don't care about follow me. I got Earthquake. And I'm just going to keep clicking Life Dew.
right. I was actually kind of dumbfounded as to what was happening as well. I was the same as you, dude. Like, okay, you're using dual wing beat to both of his Pokemon, but you aren't just like you aren't trying to target one. You're not trying to KO just one. But the end game was the earthquake, and that was really, really amazing. But look at this right now. Follow me just to bulky, just to get all the damage from the Urshifu and let
Ooh.
Dragonite just get it. But like, oh my
Ooh,
god,
Poison
that
Jab.
whiff though.
That's
Oh my
actually a
god, that
big
is
deal.
huge.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think,
big
yeah,
deal.
that is huge. That is huge, bro. Like, if that hit, then definitely he would have been he would have got the kill, the KO off of that Urshifu. But like, consider even with the fake out, I think if Urshifu has the protect here, he could still survive this from 3-1 situation.
It is. It depends on how much. I mean, if Silver misses another dual wing beat, I think that may steal it up. Although I do think he has Tapu Fiend in the back, so Urshifu is not going to appreciate a
Ah,
4 times
right,
effective
right.
Moonblast. But you know, a crit's a crit, and if this is well, if it's banded, it's going to be poison jabby. But then again, I mean, a banded poison jab is not. A Tapu Fiend is not going to appreciate that. And since it didn't detect, I think
Right.
it is banded. And oh,
Oh,
Urshifu.
not gonna do a KO as well. Look at that.
Wow, Urshifu's
That
got
is
a.
quite the bulky Urshifu.
I know. I don't think it's gonna matter now because he could, Silver can just attack,
Right.
and I think it is banded, and Dragon Claw's not gonna miss. But I mean, I know Urshifu's got like some defense, but I'm a little surprised. I'm not gonna
Not
lie.
this much.
I know that was that was a bulky
And
Urshifu.
especially that it's a super effective move, you know.
Yeah,
But hey, that is it for our first round of the tournament. The electric tower, bro. Like, how do you think about the first round of our tournament?
well, I do think it was quite electrifying, if I do, do say so myself. We did see one electric type Pokemon. We didn't see any electric type moves though, which is unfortunate.
Not yet,
I should have made that a
not yet.
requirement. You have to have one electric type Pokemon, but I think that
The
was
electric tower, and you're all gonna use like grass type Pokemon. What's up, bro?
that. Yeah, we just all use ground types in the electric tower. That's how we do it. But I think that was a great first game. Silver is able to pick up a pretty solid and consistent, well played 2-0 there over Explain a Lot. I think
Right.
just again both games being able to pick up a Pokemon turn one with his Dynamax and Explain a Lot not really being able to do the same thing really just swung the momentum in Silver's favor both times.
Right, and you know what? Before we just like head into the next game, I just wanted to say that Silver was, as you mentioned, pretty consistent, and his 2 was very convincing. Knowing that, not only was he able to do the same thing from round one, which is kind of really hard to do, especially if it's like the first time you're playing your opponent, and to be able to read your opponent like that, and to be able to bounce back from your mistake is something that a very experienced player could only do.
Silver is actually a pretty decent friend of mine, and I do know that he is definitely got some games under his belt. Him and I, we've prepped for games together and things like that. So
Right.
I know that he is a fairly well experienced player. I do know that Dragonite is one of his favorite Pokemon, and Regieleki is not one of his favorite Pokemon. So I'm sure KOing that in both games felt pretty good for him.
Right. But yeah, that is it for our first round of the Electric Tower Tournament by Feeper. And we will see you guys on the next round.